Hello everyone, it's Jen. Today I'm sharing 8 cards that I've made to celebrate our healthcare heroes every day, but particularly during the coronavirus outbreak. So big shout out to the stamp companies who are making some free digital stamps available to us to use. I'm going to start off showing you these stamps. This one's from MFT. It's called Call the Shots. There's 4 that MFT currently has. This one here is Superhero in Scrubs. Love the sentiments with this one. You're a superhero in scrubs. Heartfelt thanks. The third one is Bedside Manner. And these have some sentiments that you can use for any time to wish someone well if they're not feeling well, but to also use for healthcare professionals. This one here is called Doctor's Orders. Love this one. As you can see, I've gone ahead and colored up all the images so you could see what they look like. This free digi is from Kindred Stamps, and I went ahead and colored up this cute little nurse in various skin tones and hair colors. Then we have one from a new stamp company. This is Sassy and Crafts. Look at this cute little image, and it has some really great sentiments as well. The final image that I'm going to share today is a Jillian Vance Designs. I loved this one, colored it up just in a neutral white. And now we can move on to card number 1. So for card number 1, I'm using the Kindred Stamps digital set. I'm going to make 3 cards with this one. And all the cards today are really quick designs, clean and simple cards, easy to mass produce, and fairly simple. You just need some pattern paper, the digis, and I've used some basic shapes like this one here is the rectangle. So I'm going to use the sentiment, thank you for all that you do. This one is going to be a landscaped card, and I'm going to add our little nurse here to the right hand side. Once I glued that down with some liquid adhesive, I went ahead and popped the whole focal panel here up on some foam tape. I'm going to center that, and then I cut out some hearts in some bright pink and black cardstock, and I'm using the Heffy Doodle Lovely Little Borders die here. I use these quite frequently as little embellishments. They're the perfect size. So I just wanted to scatter the hearts on a diagonal here just to give some extra interest to this clean and simple card. Moving on to card number 2. Using some more pattern paper here, using the same sentiment. The pattern paper that I'm using today is, this one here is Pink and Main My Heart. I'm using MFT Sweet Celebrations and Lawn Fawn Really Rainbow, but you can use anything that you have in your stash. It's a great way to use up some of those pattern papers that I know we all have as crafters in our craft room. So I just needed to cut down that card base a little bit. I'm going to center the thank you sentiment kind of to the middle 1/3 from the bottom, I guess. And then I went ahead and cut out 3 hearts from some light purple cardstock. These hearts are the stitched hearts from Heffy Doodle. And I am going to go ahead and just adhere these down with liquid adhesive right on to my card panel. Same with the sentiment, and then I popped up my little nurse already on some foam tape. So I love that you can color these little characters up with various colors of scrubs, and then you can also color their skin and hair in different tones. So I'm just going to center her over the word think. That will kind of ground her, the image, a little bit. And then I'm just going to have these 3 hearts as embellishments to finish off this card. I am going to bring in my white gel pen here just to show you that you can add some dots to the eyes. I gave her some little freckles. Now I did go back and put black gel pen over her eyes because I just felt like there was too many white dots on her face. I'm going to add some highlights to the hearts, and that will complete that card. So moving on to card number 3, the final one using the Kindred Stamps. I went for more of a pastel color for this particular card, and really for most of these cards I'm just cutting out my pattern paper with a large rectangle die. I happen to use the ones from Heffy Doodle. Again, just needed to trim up that card base a little. And using basic shapes like ovals, rectangles, hearts, and stars to create these cards. And I did that because even if you don't have dies in your stash, these are very simple shapes that you can cut out with scissors. So for this one, I'm going to kind of put the sentiment on an angle here. This one reads, "You're a healthcare hero." And then I'm going to have her down to the bottom right underneath the sentiment. I'm going to use 3 more of these bright colored pink hearts here just to add a little bit of extra interest to the card. So again, just going to add a little more of the white gel pen, and that will finish off this card. So moving right along to card number 4, I'm going to make 3 cards using the MFT digital stamps. For this first one, I went with more of a palette that would make for a good masculine card. So I'm going to use this orange polka dot paper as my background. The sentiment that I'm using is, "You're a superhero in scrubs," and I just pop that up on some foam tape. Once I get that centered, I will just go ahead and cut off that overhanging portion of the sentiment. I'm going to add my little digital stamp here all colored up over top of the word super, and then I've cut out some of these stars with some holographic paper. I thought that would be really fun, but wouldn't take away too much from the image itself. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere those on with some liquid adhesive. I also cut out some tiny stars with the lovely little borders die, and I'm going to add those on the card as well. I'm just using my jewel picker here to help me place those stars. And once I get those positioned where I want them, I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive. So you may notice here I am using an odd number of stars. They say that odd numbers tend to look more appealing to the eye, so I tend to follow that rule as much as possible. Moving on to the next card, I went with a monochromatic pink for card number 5. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere down this rectangle cut out of my stitched rectangle dies. This is just a pink striped paper. You can see here I cut out this large shaped heart. This is a stitched heart die from Heffy Doodle. And I'm going to have that kind of fill in that back area of the card. So again, just going to lay that down with my liquid adhesive. I am going to have that right edge off the card. I will trim that off there once I get this in place. Just being careful not to get the glue everywhere. So I did check, these stamps are still available free for digital download on the websites. I have linked to all of them down in the description box below so that you can find them really quickly. And again, I just want to give a really big thanks to all these stamp companies that are providing some free digital images for us to create cards to say thanks to all those who are working hard to keep us healthy and safe. So the sentiment that I'm using for this one is nurse is another word for hero. And then I'm just going to add my little nurse here down with some liquid adhesive, and I'm just going to kind of nudge her on top of that second line of the sentiment, tucked closely to the word nurse. I'm going to add one little heart here beside the word nurse to the right hand side, and that will finish off that card. So moving on to card number 6, I went with rainbow for this one. I thought this would be a good gender neutral color palette for this card, and I'm going to use both of the doctor images for this one. Again, just cut this panel out with a stitched rectangle die. Had a little trouble there trying to get it in place. I felt like there was a little bit of a bump to the top, so I just wanted to crease my card base a little bit better. For this sentiment, I'm using doctor is another word for hero, And I'm going to add some black cardstock behind that just to have it pop off the card a little bit better with all the colors from the rainbow. So again, just adhering this down straight to the card panel with my liquid adhesive, and I'm going to center the sentiment, and then I will cut off the excess with my scissors. And then once I get that done, I can go ahead and place my doctors onto the card as well. This one I left with no foam tape, so I'm just going to adhere them right down. I wanted to give you some examples of some really quick and easy, clean and simple cards that you can do. You don't need dimension to have them be really cute, and if you're mailing them, it's always good to have some flat cards for easy mailing. So I am going to have this little male doctor here just overlapping the female doctor a little bit. I'm anchoring them on top of the sentiment just so it looks like they're not floating in air. Now I had a little area where it wasn't quite adhered, so I just went ahead and used my finger to stick that down. Decided to give him some polka dots on his tie, and there we go with that completed card. So moving on to the next card, sticking with the rainbow theme for card number 7, I'm using this skinny rectangle die. Again, this is from Heffy Doodle. I love these. It just adds a really pretty element to your card, but you could definitely make this card without this little frame. So this is a piece of pattern paper from the Lawn Fawn Really Rainbow pattern paper set. And I'm using the Jillian Vance scrub shirt here. So I am going to just add a piece of cardstock to the areas that will not be overhanging on the little frame. This will just ensure that there's no dips in the image when I go to adhere this on. I am going to adhere this a little bit off center to the left hand side just for some added interest, and I love the sentiment. It says, "Hero, an ordinary person facing extraordinary circumstances and acting with courage, honor, and sacrifice." Absolutely love that. I'm going to add this thanks word die here. This again is from Heffy Doodle. I layered it with about 4 layers just to give it some added dimension out of some black cardstock. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere that to my card base. I am going to let that sit for a little bit until the glue dries, and then I can go ahead and add the card panel to my card base. And that will complete this card, just adding a little bit of Nouveau Shimmer glitter pen there to the hearts. For the final card, this is the Sassy and Crafty, these adorable little bears. I fell in love with this image. The pattern paper that I'm using is again from Pink and Main My Heart. And I also cut out a larger stitched heart here out of some light purple cardstock. So I'm just going to adhere that down to my card base, or the card panel, which is on the card base. And I'm just going to have that over to the left hand side. For this sentiment, it says, "Some superheroes don't wear capes," and I just cut out around the sentiment just so it was a little bit something different from just using a stitched rectangle around the sentiment. And I'm going to nuzzle that kind of to the bottom part of the heart in close to the little images of the bears. So there we go. There's a look at card number 8. I'm going to slow down the video a little bit here and show you all 8 cards. If you make some cards for healthcare heroes, I would love it if you tag me so I can see them. Again, all the links are down below to these images. I'm not sure how long they will be available, so if you're interested in downloading these digital stamps for free, please go and do that as soon as possible. And don't forget to give a big shout out to these companies again for giving us these amazing images to show our healthcare heroes that we are thinking of them. Thanks everybody for joining me. I hope that you're all doing well, staying healthy and safe, and I'll see you really soon in the next video. Bye!